34 seconds. That's all it took for the largest flying machine ever built to turn into a falling wall of fire. One spark, one invisible gas leak, and 97 people went from sipping champagne in a flying palace to jumping for their lives. The Hindenburg wasn't supposed to be dangerous. It was supposed to be the future. For 2 days it had crossed the Atlantic from Frankfurt, Germany, carrying 97 passengers and crew toward Lakehurst, New Jersey. People waved from the ground as it passed overhead. Children pointed. It was routine. The Hindenburg had already made over 30 Atlantic crossings without incident. Nobody expected to witness history's most infamous disaster. But there was a problem, and it had been there from the start. The Hindenburg was designed to fly on helium. Helium doesn't burn. It's also heavy and expensive, and in 1937, almost the entire world's supply belonged to one country, the United States. Wary of Nazi Germany's military ambitions, the US refused to sell it to them. So German engineers filled the airship with hydrogen instead. Hydrogen lifts more weight than helium. It's also one of the most flammable substances on Earth. A single spark near a leak doesn't just catch fire, it can ignite an entire structure in seconds. The engineers knew the risk. They believed they'd accounted for it. They were wrong. At 7:25 p.m., the Hindenburg approached its mooring mast at Lakehurst. The landing had already been delayed for hours by thunderstorms, and the air was thick with static electricity. Ground crews stood ready below, waiting to catch the mooring lines as the great silver airship descended. Witnesses later described a strange blue glow near the tail fin, some calling it St. Elmo's fire, a harmless electrical phenomenon. But something else was happening inside the ship's aluminium skeleton. A leak. Hydrogen gas, seeping into the air, mixing invisibly with oxygen. Waiting. Then it ignited. A burst of flame appeared near the tail. Within seconds, it raced through the ship's frame, igniting cell after cell of hydrogen gas. The fabric skin, coated to resist weather, burned even faster. Inside the control car, the crew felt the ship lurch as the tail collapsed, the nose pitching upward before the entire structure crashed toward the earth. From first spark to total collapse, 34 seconds. Passengers leapt from windows as the ship fell. Some ran straight through the flames toward open air. The ground crew, the very men who'd come to catch the mooring lines, rushed forward instead of back, pulling survivors from the wreckage as fuel tanks kept exploding around them. Of the 97 people aboard, 35 died. One more man on the ground was killed by falling debris. It could have been far worse. Survival often came down to pure proximity to an exit, and sheer luck in where the flames spread first. A radio reporter named Herbertmorrison had been sent to cover what should have been a routine landing. Instead, his voice cracked live on air as he watched the ship burn, capturing raw horror in real time. The recording aired across the country within hours, and his words became one of the most quoted lines in American broadcast history. The exact cause was never fully settled. Some investigators pointed to a static spark igniting a hydrogen leak. Others suspected sabotage, though no solid evidence ever backed that theory. What was certain, an airship filled with one of the most flammable gases on Earth, flying through a region thick with electrical storms, was always one spark away from catastrophe. The age of the passenger airship ended that night. Hydrogen-filled airships never carried passengers again. The Hindenburg's burning silhouette became a lasting symbol of technological hubris, proof that the boldest engineering marvel in the world could still fall to a single, invisible mistake. The disaster forced a hard lesson the world couldn't ignore. Prestige and speed mean nothing without basic material safety. Engineers had gambled an entire industry on a gas everyone knew was dangerous, simply because the safer option wasn't available. After Lakehurst, aviation shifted decisively toward heavier-than-air planes, and, safe by design, stopped being optional. Sometimes, the biggest disasters aren't caused by the unknown. They're caused by a known risk nobody was willing to fix in time.